All right. So we are live at Bella Vista English Mastiffs in northern Maine. We have been asked to, another breeder actually asked me to do a video on this very important subject today. I think that not very many people are talking about this important subject. It is breeder etiquette. So, before you go in search of a puppy, in our case, Mastiff puppies, it is a good idea to do research on the breed and to research possible breeders that you may consider getting your puppy from. And what the things that maybe you'd like to be looking for with that breeder would be, what kind of Mastiff are they breeding? Are they recognized by AKC? Are they recognized and endorsed by the Department of Agriculture in whatever state they are breeding in? Very important. Some states actually require a vendor's license before puppies can be sold. The state of Maine used to require a vendor's license. So it's important to do your research on the breeder that you're considering getting your puppy from. You want to make sure that they've never been in trouble, that they have never been sanctioned for anything. And so you want to remember, first and foremost, that when you contact a breeder, that breeder is putting their whole heart and soul into breeding the particular breed that they are breeding. In our case, it's Mastiffs. And that breeder is going to want to have confidence in you. So it is very, very important to remember that manners go a long way, a long, long way. Over the years, I have had people contact me and simply say, "How much? Got any puppies? How much?" And I never pay attention to those messages on Messenger or email. If they come out with, you know, got any pups or how much, I literally don't even take them serious. So that's first of all, manners are a must. Remember that that breeder is putting everything they have, if they are doing it correctly, everything they have into breeding the puppies that you're interested in. So manners are important. It's just good etiquette. And so having manners and being polite. When they ask you, what's your name? It's good to be clear and say your first and last name and maybe even the state that you're calling from. The breeder may ask you, how did you hear about us? And so you may say the internet, you may say the website or YouTube. In our case, our my lives are being seen all around the world. So sometimes when I get contacted, it is sometimes from another country. Other breeders contact us, and you know, so that's important. State your full name, your first and your last name, and maybe what state you're calling from. So that's number 3. Number 4 is where you're from, and do you maybe own or rent your home? Now, that may come across as a personal question. I really don't think so, because if you're a landlord, you really don't want to walk up to one of your apartments and see a ginormous head looking back at you through a window or a door. So, having a rental agreement from your landlord will probably be required. And if you own your home, does the town that you live in allow giant breed dogs? And in some cases, in I think Florida, I think Florida, you have to live so many miles outside of town in order to actually have more than 2 dogs or 3 dogs. So if you have other dogs in the home, you might want to consider contacting your town and telling them that you are considering a puppy from another, another puppy. So good etiquette. These are things that the breeder may ask you. Um, for instance, I ask a question is if you have ever had any contact with animal control or animal welfare. Have you ever been warned or had a puppy or another animal removed from your care? So that would be important to us. So that's number 5. Number 5 would be, um, do you own or rent? Do you have a yard? What will be, how will you deal with pottying and when that dog needs to go out and whatnot? Do you have somebody that'll come let the dog out into the yard if you're working? Um, so I also ask our clients, what are your thoughts on crating? Now, we do crate train here. We think that it's a good thing to do when I'm cleaning the whelping room or other parts of the house, or if I have multiple litters, having a big kennel to put pups in to keep them safe while I'm cleaning is a good thing. But to be honest with you, we do not believe that any giant breed dog should be crated for more than an hour and a half to 3 hours. So if you contact us for a puppy, that may be something that we ask, and we would hope that you would be honest. And also, giant breed dogs, they grow so quickly. You wouldn't want to crate a mastiff puppy for more than, I would say, tops 3 hours. You know, ligaments are growing and muscles are growing and growth plates and all that good stuff. So crating a giant breed puppy for too long is never good. And again, we're protecting those hips and elbows and patellas and all of that. And do you know that if you crate too long, your puppy can get major anxiety? It's true. Like Rain is in her crate right now, playing with one of her toys. It's huge. The door's open. You can't see it. It's the biggest crate they make. I think it's 5 feet tall and 98 inches long. If I say that right, it's like 5 feet long and like 5 feet tall. It's huge. But again, that's like a $500 crate. Not everybody. You can find them on Facebook Marketplace. I bought mine secondhand from another breeder, getting out of mastiffs. So you can find a lot of good stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and all you have to do is disinfect. So leave it out in the sunshine. So number 6, if you know anything about the breed in question, I like to ask people, have you ever owned a Mastiff before? Do you have any friends with Mastiffs? Is there anybody local that you could go maybe hang out with so you can see how a Mastiff acts? Having a little bit of knowledge about the breed you're considering is always a good thing. Number 7, do you have a vet that you work with that knows you and knows your character and whether or not the other pets in your life have been up to date on vaccines? Vaccines are very important. And also, if you live where there are deer, the Lyme vaccine is extremely important. Have you ever known somebody a human that caught Lyme disease? It's not good. Have you ever seen a horse with Lyme disease? Really not good. You certainly don't want to have your puppy get bit by a tick, either on your property or maybe on a trail or something like that. So a Lyme vaccine is very important. In our case, once puppies are born, we worm at 2, 4, 6, and 8 weeks. I run weekly fecal tests here under the microscope, and so we're always ahead of it. We've never had coccidia or giardia. And so when your puppy goes to the vet for getting ready for take home at 9 weeks, we run a fecal test. It goes vaccines and then a fecal test and then the last wormer at the vet. We also do a complementary leptospirosis vaccine for you. And then they run around $20. And then when you go to get the next set of shots, all you got to do is do the booster. So, do you have a vet, and does that vet know you? That's number 7. Number 8, are the people in your life used to giant breed dogs? That's something to consider. Your parents, your mother in law, your boyfriend's parents, your boyfriend's sister. Has anybody ever had a bad experience with a giant breed dog? These are the things to consider because this puppy will grow. And so, I don't know why my nose is itchy. Because it's St. Patrick's Day. Um, so, yeah, like, are the people in your life afraid of large breed dogs or giant breed dogs? And these things should be addressed before you purchase a puppy. So, that is number 8. Number 9 is, and this is to me not a personal question, but financially, are you in a position to buy dog food and to maintain your puppy? These things are, to me, not personal. I mean, you have to remember, I've gotten puppies from Antonio Fracassi in Italy. I met him 10 years ago, and he wanted to make sure that I was the breeder that I appear to be. And he watched me whelp litters, and he saw how I was with my dogs before he ever allowed me to purchase from him. And I think that it's noteworthy to say there came a point when I was getting into his lines that he said, I know you've been breeding dogs for 30 years, but I do things a little differently here in Italy. I would like to mentor you. And that way, there, I'm confident that whatever arises while you are breeding our lines, my lines, that you can handle anything. So, and it was literally, there was a list of things that Antonio wanted me to do the way he did them. For instance, collecting the males, progesterone testing, drawing blood, fecal testing, tube feeding puppies if necessary, everything, what I feed, the ingredients in the feed. Everybody thinks like Antonio just handed me his lines. He certainly did not. So that's number 9. Are you ready? And financially, can you take care of a pup? Number 10, and this might be the most important, it is perfectly fine to ask how much someone charges for a puppy. That is your right. That breeder has probably been asked hundreds of times, thousands of times, right? Because not everybody buys a puppy. For me, I appreciate when people ask. Now, however, here's the caveat. If that breeder tells you that puppy is a price that you are not prepared to pay, or you maybe think is too much for a puppy, it is good manners to just say, okay, I see you have a very, very high quality dog, and I'm going to think about it. Would it be okay if I get back to you? I'm going to discuss it with my partner or my family or my wife. So, this is just good etiquette. And the reason you want to maintain good manners and good etiquette is because even if you can't afford that puppy right now, you may be able to at a future litter. And if you maintain being polite and very forthcoming and have good manners and respect the time the breeder's giving you on the phone, I'd be willing to bet that when you're ready to have a puppy from that breeder, that that breeder will certainly consider you for one of their puppies. I know with me, I am pretty old school. So if you contact me for a puppy, manners are the most important thing I look for, because I think about it like this. If you don't have good manners for me, with me, and you're short tempered and you don't like if I ask you a question or you're not forthcoming, I kind of get that feeling. And if I do, I don't even take it seriously. And I certainly wouldn't put you on a puppy reserve list. We currently have a lot of really good people on our puppy reserve list. And it's people that join our Facebook page, Bella Vista English Mastiffs. They learn about us. They do their background check on my husband and I. They maybe have contacted AKC and the Department of Agriculture. These things are very important. You want to build a rapport. You really want to build a rapport with a breeder. If it's a breeder of consequence, if it's a well known breeder, it would be in your best interest to, like I said, I've run down 10 things that I think are the most important. Good manners are a must because I look at it like if you're kind to me, then you'll be kind to a puppy. If I ask you a tough question and you don't lose patience with me, I know that if that puppy does something that maybe, you know, an unfavorable thing, you won't lose patience with that puppy. So you really want to build a rapport with a breeder. And then, if maybe at some point in time, that breeder does not have a puppy for you, or maybe even at that point in time, you cannot afford a puppy from that breeder, she certainly, or they certainly, would refer you and be confident enough to refer you to another breeder. So, good manners is paramount. And listen, every good breeder out there is doing it from their heart. If you're doing it correctly, I can promise you, you're just barely breaking even. Literally, you are just barely breaking even. You're not going to get rich breeding dogs. You're not going to pay your mortgage off. You're not going to buy a brand new, whatever, brand new truck. You're going to keep the bills paid. You are, you're going to just climb and maintain, climb and maintain. This is not a get rich quick scheme. And again, you've heard me say before, we get one opportunity to get it right. We can only raise them once. And isn't this correct with raising children and having relationships and friendships? We really get one opportunity to get it right. So think about that when you're purchasing your puppy. And remember, when you go to contact a breeder, good manners and respect goes both ways. You may not be choosing a puppy from them right at that point in time, but that breeder is going to remember your good manners and respect for the trade that they're in and what they're doing. Okay? So that's important. And then at some point in time, if they don't have a puppy, they will feel confident to refer you to another breeder. I know all of us breeders kind of stick together. I wouldn't refer somebody to another breeder friend of mine that had bad manners. Because in my head, I think if you're being choppy with me or shady with me, then that's how you'll be with your puppy. So there's the 10 things that I think are super important when contacting a breeder. Good manners go a long way, and you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Remember, guys, purebred does not mean well bred, and AKC is just a registry. I have never been asked by AQHA, American Quarter Horse Association, or AKC, the American Kennel Club, about my genetics. Think about that. AKC takes our money. They're just a registry. They allow us to fly their colors more or less. So remember, purebred does not mean well bred, and consistent generational genetic testing is the value of your puppy. With us, we can go back and show you every relative around your puppy has had consistent generational genetic testing. And that just adds to the integrity of the lines that you're purchasing. If there are any questions now, I would be happy to take a few minutes to answer any questions. I'm using the MacBook Air, so I might be able to actually see comments as they come in. Thank you, Chris, from the other room. Are there any questions does anybody have? We will be breeding again in May. We'll be breeding Gage's daughter, Lily. She's important because she is the daughter of my Serafina del Fracasso, who was the daughter of Franca del Fracasso. And Franca won just about everything there is to win in Italy. You can Google Franca, Franca del Fracasso. And if you Google her, you will find Lily's grandmother. And if you go on to Antonio's website, you'll be able to see all the genetic testing results. And of course, we have ours here for what we've done in the United States. But every dog around your puppy has been genetic tested. That's what our clients really love about us, is we have a paper trail that goes back about 50 years and we can prove it. So, but AKC is just they take our money. I've never been asked by AKC or AQHA about the genetics or whether or not I vaccinate or how healthy my dogs are. It's just not something that AKC gets into. They have lots of programs within AKC, and I'm not throwing shade, but I'm telling you, just because two parents are AKC registered, unfortunately, that does not speak to the quality of the puppies being bred. And if you look on Facebook Marketplace, there are probably 5, 6, 7 litters of puppies right now that are already at take-home age that are not good quality. Why are these breeders breeding dogs and producing puppies with heart murmurs? It boggles the mind. You have to have consistent generational genetic testing on all the dogs around your puppy. And if the breeder you're talking to is not forthcoming and transparent, then I would not do business with them. And I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. Everything good that happens with your puppy starts from birth. And unfortunately, and the way it is everything begins with a good breeder. Your breeder should be transparent. They should answer the phone to you. Once you get a puppy or once you've put your money in place to reserve a puppy, that breeder needs to be answering the phone to you any hour. If you have a question or a concern, that breeder should be answering the phone to you. Probably in the last 6 months, 4 different people contacted me and said they can't get in touch with the breeder that they purchased their puppy from. And they're having problems like ear infections and yeast infections and behavioral issues and incontinence. My goodness, if you are a breeder, you need to be potty training every puppy before it leaves you. Too bad. That's the way I feel. It all begins with the breeder. So that's the way I feel. And if your breeder is not transparent and forthcoming with you, I wouldn't do business. And I'm sorry, this is a long commitment. This breed, our lines live 10, 11, 12 years. That's a long time to be committed to a dog. These are life partners. And so with that, again, 10 cool things that I feel is good breeder etiquette. That is the title for this video. And my number here is 207 694 1200, 207 694 1200, where, being polite and good manners go a long way. So with that, I'm going to close this video. Feel free to contact us. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do, so that I know that you guys are liking the content. There's a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm going to be promoting some people here soon. I know we're getting views all over the world. I may have a guest appearance by somebody important, and I think you're going to enjoy meeting them. I'm going to try and promote somebody, and I hope you guys show as much love to this guy that we feel here for him and his wife. And so we're going to be looking at that very soon. Also, we're going to be interviewing some people that show Westminster and other AKC shows. I just want you to get to the idea of there are show people out there. There are other breeders. We all do something a little different. As far as we are concerned here at Bella Vista English Mastiffs, we do not share our bloodline with other breeders in the United States. That would defeat the purpose, right? Why would I do that? This these bloodlines that we have here are so elite and so exclusive. And I be honest with you, and I can prove it. I'm about $150,000 invested in this breeding program. So, no, I am not going to go ahead and sell it to anybody for the price of a puppy. Unless you have something as crazy magnificent as I do, then I would consider it. I mean, if you're going to import something from an impeccable line out of Europe, we could talk. But right now, the reason, what I can tell you is the reason Antonio chose me to have these lines is because he knew that I couldn't be bought. And let me just tell you like this. If I sold every breeder of English Mastiffs in the United States one of my pups for breeding, it wouldn't be very long before the Del Fracasso lines were watered down. So can you understand where I'm coming from? If it costs me a hair under $10,000 per puppy to ship in from Del Fracasso, why would I hand somebody a full AKC puppy? Please understand, there were a lot of breeders from the United States on Antonio's do not sell list. I have the respect for him to honor that list. So that's all. May not be what everybody wants to hear, but it's the simple fact. So I'm not trying to corner the market. I'm just telling you, it's a really big deal to have these lines, the integrity and the quality. So I am going to close this video now. If you haven't subscribed and hit that notification button and like this video, please do. Please do. And we will talk to you soon. Remember, good manners go a long way. Good night.